Hello! Welcome. This is Blue Talk, obviously. And the star of the party has arrived. Today's topic is me and how low I was to how happy I am now, I guess. See, I'm not supposed to say I'm bad at this, but I am bad at this. So I shall get better, but yes. So let's just get started. No waste time. So I have papers because I have a very bad memory and my brain is just everywhere all the time. It's like okay, so basically so in 6th grade I was loved. Yeah, I was known. Everybody hated or loved me. Yes.
Can you talk normal?
I'll talk normal. When I was a little elementary schooler, I was loud. I always had a blabber mouth. My mouth is the best thing about me. I was a little comedian. Hello. So, 7th grade, this all changed. Because in the summer of June 2019, I had no chemical dependencies at the end of 6th grade. I would smoke, occasionally. But the first time I ever smoked, it was great. I was hitting it like it was a vape. And I hit it like 20 times. A wax pen. I was off of my shit. I was the definition of zooted.
Who gave you the wax pen, Jordan?
Oh, that's nobody's business. It's just one of my friends.
Just a friend.
Yeah. They didn't tell me that it was not like you're supposed to hit it not like it's a vape, and they thought I had done this before. So, long story short, I had 10 donuts at Tim Hortons separately. I ordered them separately. And then I was crawling on the floor for change because I used all my money on donuts. So, all of my friends seen that because I was up at the counter and I was talking to this lady, and it just seemed like, oh my gosh, it was like a dream. Everything was like, woo. I felt like a GTA character when you smoke. That's what I felt like. It was amazing. But. And then I went to my best friend's birthday party after that. That was a good day. I started going to my dad's all the time. In like June. Started talking to him more in May.
Of what year?
2019. June 2019.
And you were how old?
12 and a half. And we just started smoking all the time. I got my first bowl in like June. And then I smoked all summer.
And that one was with your dad?
Yeah. And it was my mom's bowl that he made for her. I would smoke with him and his coke dealer a lot. And
how did you know it was his coke dealer?
I didn't know that until later on.
He
At
told
first,
you
I just thought it was his weed dealer. Gotcha. No, I kind of got it on my own because he'd get it from his house and then he'd do it.
No, you were gonna say it right. He would order it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started doing Black and Milds after I hung out with him and his dealer because he did Black and Milds all the time. So then I always was vaping or smoking, especially vaping. But that was like later on. But at first, whenever I would smoke, I would just fall asleep. I was a wuss. But I would start smoking 24/7 because that was one of the things that made me comfortable while doing things. I remember one of the conversations we had was, can I smoke? I only feel comfortable doing it like high or something like that. And he thought that meant I did it a lot before that, which I didn't. I was like basically a virgin at this time. Yeah. I did shrooms once, and this is about the end of summer after he started doing like actual stuff. Before that, it was just, can I say it? Fingering and should I not say it?
You can just say sexual acts.
Sexual acts, but not the full stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
It's
so icky.
More along the lines of like molestation.
Yeah, I didn't think, because like one of the first things that happened was in one of the nights that he was doing coke with his girlfriend in the basement and I was just down there smoking. He said if I wasn't his kid, he'd marry me.
So I just want you to know, like, you can talk about it if you want, but don't feel like you have to.
I know.
People already know what happened.
Yeah, you don't have to go into detail if you're uncomfortable about going into detail. It's your story and you get to tell it.
Well, we drink vodka sometimes in Sonic slushies, and I found out I really liked the booze. And I don't know if I said this, but we did shrooms once. I remember going to the carnival the same day, and I was, oh my gosh, everything was woo. I went to a fry stand, and the grease was greasing. It looked, it looked like an acid trip.
Listen, the only reason that I'm gonna laugh at that is because my household decided, not me, not my husband, they decided they were going to partake in shrooms one time, and they went glow golfing,
Oh no.
and the walls were walling and the grass was grassing. So that's why it was funny.
So, yes, one time. Well, 7th grade. I was still kind of a big mouth in the beginning of it. People loved me. I loved 7th grade gym because the 10-minute run, I was running fast the whole time. This is when I had virgin lungs. I didn't have popcorn lungs. And then at the last 2 minutes, I was running faster. I was like the dudes. Oh my gosh, I was a track star. And people say I should do track, but I can't because of my asthma. And I ruined my lungs vaping 24/7. So, in response to the dog.
Well, you guys can't see, but the dog is tripping currently.
So whenever I'd smoke, it was at his house, and I would smoke on the weekends as a little reward for getting my straight A's.
Who
It's the
rewarded
only time
you?
I had straight A's.
He rewarded you for straight A's?
Yeah, with smoking. I smoked Black and Milds all the time. I was like,
I can relate to that. I used to smoke Black and Milds too.
the wines
Oh,
and the sweet tips.
I used to smoke
I mean, the wood tips.
jazz wood tips.
Oh yeah, the wood tips.
You know how bad they are for you, though?
Yeah, it's like
Do you know that they're equivalent to like a pack of cigarettes?
that's what her husband said when he smashed my little mini one I had.
They are. They are equivalent to like a pack of cigarettes. So next time you think about like how much you enjoyed that, remember how much you enjoy running more. Bet you can breathe a whole lot better, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, February 2020, one day he picked me up. And I started getting really bad OCD. My OCD came back out of nowhere. I had really bad OCD when my mom died. And I had night terrors, like I couldn't sleep. I remember I was like, I had like I had a stick by my bed because I was scared of somebody breaking in. And I was gonna, wah, 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 is my little 3rd grade self. Because I was scared of death. Death scared me. You got, when you actually think about it, that you're gonna be dead forever, or you're gonna be in heaven forever, it's scary.
Bro, you got so much life to live, you ain't gotta worry about that.
Yeah, but what if you just randomly get hit by a car? Or get in a car accident,
Very cool.
God's got your back.
Huh?
Brief intermission. I'm gonna.
What is it?
The leash. Oh, so sorry.
Alright, go ahead. The first thing I did when my intrusive thoughts came back was smoke. I would smoke cope. It has a rhyme.
Cope with what?
Huh?
Cope with what?
No, smoke to cope.
Yeah, cope with what she
Cope
said.
with what?
OCD, anxiety, and my really bad intrusive thoughts. Before it would be I look at a knife. I'd be like, boop, boop, boop. I do it like 5 times in my stomach, or like I don't know. I don't cook for that reason because I'm not psycho, but I'm a little psycho. But I would never do anything, it just comes to mind. But it was really bad sensory motor OCD. You can look it up if you want. It's hell. It's debilitating. I had a mix of the worst things together. And I would smoke and it would go away. It wouldn't go away, but it made it better. And it was just debilitating. I remember the first time my little brother, he kept doing this. I don't know, and for some reason it made it come on in the car, and then I just started bawling my eyes out over nothing. And then me and my dad, first night it happened, he was cooking in his kitchen, and we were watching Punisher. And then I was just looking forward to smoking, and then we finally smoked in the basement, and then he went up to the bathroom. But yes, after that, it was just a habit to smoke whenever that would come up. And I became a major pothead. Then COVID happened.
What happened?
COVID. I was stuck in my house for 2 weeks, and I thought it was just going to be 2 weeks. Little did I know it would be months of bullshit. And he dropped off. It was only 2 times. A little gram. I don't know. I don't know how to measure weed. I should. It was like 1/2 Is that? Yeah, I don't know.
Sure, it don't matter.
Okay, yeah. But in like the little containers, and a little one hitter, and then he dropped off like 2 black and milds. And he did that 2 times. And then my grandma had my brother go as a little spy and go against my back to get information out of me so they could get my dad out of the picture, I guess. And it was when I told him about the shrooms that he told my grandma everything. But little did I know, Sarah and Terry was telling my grandma I was smoking the whole time. Bitch. Oh, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
That's literally a video, so.
This is my brain. It's scrambled amble. That's not.
And all of that we all did was for your benefit. So
I know, I'm joking. But when they called CPS and I couldn't see my dad for about 4 to 5 months, and I couldn't talk to the outside world, I was banned from using computer, phone, everything. My phone was taken and put in a lockbox. It was hell. She took my stash.
I have a question.
Yes.
Looking back now, would you have wanted them to do anything different?
Not smoke. Because it was not good. That's all I wanted to do.
No, would you have wanted them to do anything different to where you wouldn't have been punished, or like,
Oh, they shouldn't have cut me off from the outside world. That was hell. That's why I started drinking.
Okay. So next question would be, how did you feel somewhat relieved to not have to be around your dad?
No, I was under his finger when I was 13 and 14. It's only when I learned about the child porn that I started hating him.
Okay.
I don't know. I genuinely thought that he loved me. Because I would separate the good from the bad. And I still do.
Right.
So, like, when it was good, it was really good. And, like, he didn't act like what he would act like during the bad. And the bad, they were just completely separated. I kind of blocked the bad from out of my mind. And whenever the bad was happening, I was pretending it was somebody else.
Do you know what Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is?
Huh?
Do you know who Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is?
No?
It's I think it's a book actually, where basically it's 2 separate people though, but in the same body, where one person is like an evil person and the other person is a good person. Is that kind of how that sounded to you?
Yeah.
Kind of how he acted? So in the moments that that were bad, how were you feeling?
I kind of got used to it, so it didn't affect me as much as it would affect somebody else. I got numb to it.
But
I
when
would
it
just
first
wait.
started-
I can't wait for it to be over. Oh, I had really bad anxiety. Like everything, like I was sweating, my heart was racing, like I had knots in my stomach. That's when he would have arguments with his girlfriend about me because she'd get all jealous. She cut herself one time, and I had to help stitch it up. Like it was like this big of a gash because he didn't want her going to the hospital snitching on him. So we cut it. We stitched it ourselves.
snitching on what?
Stitch.
Oh, you did say snitching. Remember, you said he didn't want her to snitch.
Oh yeah. Snitching on our whole situation. She was the one who started it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that part I didn't know. I didn't know she started it.
She was the one who first did anything. And he didn't get mad that she did it. He got mad that she did it without him.
But you said since you were 12, right?
She started.
I know.
Yeah,
I
when
thought
I
that
was
started
12 and a
when you were
half. 12 and a half.
Oh, is that when she was
This
in
is back in the
picture?
summertime. She moved back to Florida in October of 2019. But now we're in 2020. We're in April 2020, and I started loving to drink, and I would drink. Or it was only during the nighttime at first, like once a day or like 4 times a week. And then he came back into my life, and I started vaping again in like August and September. And I would start sneaking out to see him, and I said I was hanging out with my friend Mitchell, and I would ride my bike somewhere, and then he'd put my bike in the back of his car. And the only thing that we did when he would pick me up was inappropriate. It's like it sucked. We would go for drives, and that was my favorite thing, was when we would go for drives. And
Why was it your favorite thing?
because he knew everywhere to go. That's the thing I loved about him most. He had all of the good shortcuts and all of the, like, he was a great driver. That's what he did most, was drive. And we listened to the best music and stuff as well. That's where I started liking all my music. But OCD started back up in October, getting really bad, especially when I would go to sleep at night. So I would always have a vape, by me. So, like, to make it go away, just like the pleasure of that, just, becomes a habit to where that's the only thing that would help. Yeah.
Nicotine actually increases your anxiety.
Yeah, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I had company, I drank, and I became a little mini alcoholic in October till, okay, we're in 8th grade, 9th grade. 3 years I was an alcoholic. I was like, but in freshman year, was 9th grade, I became a functioning one, and I would drink before I went to school while I was getting ready, and then I would go home and I'd sleep or something, and then I'd drink again, and then I'd drink. So yeah, she started noticing I was going through her wine then.
So what was the age timeline there, Jordan?
Well, I'll get there in a minute.
Okay.
So, now we're in freshman year. Okay, so in July of 2021, I started smoking because I was looking for a dispo in Sarah's room. But I ended up seeing she had a key to her lockbox. And I was like, So I went in her lockbox, and I seen my little one-hitters, and she had a little jar of weed. I made that jar of weed last like a month or two. Oh, it was some good weed. But, yeah. So I would smoke in my house, and then I'd smoke at his house, and then I drank 24/7. My mental health was... But the only thing that really worked was drinking. And, like, whenever I was at school, that's the only thing I looked forward to, was going home to smoke or drink.
Can you elaborate on your mental health? What do you mean your mental health?
It was horrible.
What were you feeling?
The only thing I wanted to do was drinking, and I was always overthinking about the dumbest stuff. Like, I didn't think I was normal. I'll talk about that another day, but this is just about my using.
Okay.
So it was really all I looked forward to. And I started doing coke all the time around my 15th birthday, but I did coke like 2 times when I was 14 and like 3 times when I was 12. And that's when I learned he was watching child porn, and he did it on my 15th birthday. He showed me, because I was on his ass for like 5 months before that, because he would always go in the bathroom, and he was always spending all his money on coke, but I didn't realize like all of his money went to coke. Like 70% of his income. Pissed it away. I didn't get Christmas gifts for 5 years straight because of that. I got one when it was AirPods. And that was in, so 7th grade I got a PlayStation. And then 9th grade I got AirPods, and we got Nerf guns. And that was it. And I got a bike in 5th grade, but it was like a year late. Not a year, like 9 months. I was on his ass, and I seen that he had Tor apps on his phone, or I seen there was recently deleted apps for like 13, 14 hours. And I started doing this in 8th grade when I was able to go there more. And it was like January to September. I started doing investigating. In September to my birthday, I was on his ass about it. And he finally told me about it. And he thought, since I sent him cute videos of babies on TikTok, or I saved a lot of stuff like that, that he thought I was weirdo like him. Not even a weirdo, like a monster. So, like, one of the first few things he showed me was, it was messed up stuff. It would play with my mind. I couldn't look at anything the same, especially stuff from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, because like their babies and kids were everywhere. It was debilitating. I couldn't look at anything. Like, everything was twisted to me after that, because he wanted to make it like he tried convincing me, can I say it, that you and Travis were doing stuff to Skylar.
Oh wow.
And he tried saying that stuff happened to Skyly because, like, the first time he came, like, for some reason, Skyly was being weird and she was, like, grinding on my leg. And he was looking at that like she got molested.
She was being a normal kid and goofing around.
I know.
That's
That
what
to me,
normal is.
yeah, and that to me sounds like a tactic to make it sound normal to you. Like, oh, well, this is happening to other kids, so you should just go along with it. Does that kind of make sense? You agree with that? Yeah.
But freshman year, I started not like, I mean,
Did you believe it?
no, I started, I didn't really believe it, but I believe she got molested. But that's not my business. I learned in 9th grade of freshman year, we're going to go back, in September of freshman year, what carts were. And he started buying me them in October. So it was, yeah. So I'd get like 3 carts a month. And I liked weed, but it was really alcohol that did it for me. And then Coke and alcohol together was, but my brain would go bye-bye. Like, I would lose brain cells every single time I did that because you're not supposed to mix Coke and alcohol. It's
You're
a
not
no-no.
supposed to do
It's a
drugs,
no-no.
Jordan. You're
Well,
not
yes,
supposed to do
yes,
drugs.
I know this. So, when he learned I was doing CP, that's when I started getting over him. I hated him. I should have hated him the whole time, but the good times just made up for the bad. I was a functioning alcoholic, like I said again, from 10th grade. October of 2021 to October of 2022. But I would just drink a lot before that. Like, every time I went to a school dance, I was drunk. Every time I'd get ready, I would drink. Every time I did my nails, I would drink. That was before. And then every time I would go out with my friends, I'd drink. Stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I was always crossfaded. The only thing I looked forward to, again, is that. Coke was my baby for a while. If I went to his house and he wouldn't give any of that to me, I would become a bitch. And I probably did Coke like 50 to 60 times in that span. I'd do like 3 to 5 lines. And the most was 10. And that was July of freshman year. And everybody's convincing me he tried to kill me because he gave me like 10 lines of Coke, and then I had like this much Fireball. And like, he was up in the bathroom, and my help felt like my heart was stopping.
Okay, but when you say certain things on camera, other people aren't gonna know
What do you
what
mean?
you're talking about. Because you just said, like, we tried to convince you, but all we said was you could have died. And he
No,
was
my
locked in the
grandma's trying to
bathroom.
convince me that he was trying to kill me off because I knew everything about the CP. And I was becoming a blabbermouth about the time of July, and this was the same day that my great grandma died.
When you
So I felt like she was watching over me, and she kind of stopped it.
what do you want to? Can you recount what happened that day, or do you want to, or no?
Me and him and his friend went to see fireworks, and his friend got a little bit of Fireball before that. Then we went back to his house, and we started drinking with his friend around. Like, they let me drink, but they would do Coke separately. And then when his friend left, he went up to the bathroom, and then I went in there for a tiny bit, and he would kick me out of the bathroom, I guess, when he wanted to watch really messed up stuff. And I started tweaking around that time because that's mainly the whole reason I went to the bathroom, was because I wanted to make sure he wasn't watching anything too bad. Because in February of 2020, so was it February or February 29th? It was February 2020. They got a call that he was watching baby torture, but it wasn't baby torture. It was, I didn't know the things that I was thinking. You don't want to know the things I was thinking with that, but it was a little 2-year-old boy, little 2-year-old boy getting anally raped and it was another country's FBI system that called ours and said that this IP address has been watching this. So ever since then, the FBI has been watching him, and it just took me from saying something. But sophomore year, I didn't like smoking, but I did it because it helped a little bit. And drinking is really what I would look forward to. And I like whenever I was at drama, I couldn't talk. I was so closed off from freshman year to sophomore year. I didn't have the energy to talk to anybody. The only person I talked to would be him. And I talked to him so much for so long because I made it for some reason in my mind that going over at his house or talking to him or being with him is like one of the few times that my OCD wouldn't go off. It was probably because I had other things to worry about, which would be like him yelling at me and screaming all the time.
It became comfortable.
Yeah. I stopped doing coke in like December, and then I started Zoloft in like January around my birthday because I had like really bad sleeping problems from December to that, and and this is when my OCD was at its very worst. Like I couldn't get it to turn off. Vaping and smoking, nothing helped. Yeah. Normally it did. I had some satisfaction from it, but this, I would hit a pen like 5 times, nothing, and then I would vape, and I got no, like it wouldn't distract, because that was the only thing I would use to distract from my OCD was vaping or smoking or drinking, and nothing would help. It
You said
sucked.
you stopped doing coke. Why?
Because I don't know why. I knew it was kind of bad for me, and I started looking like a human walking skeleton. That was this year.
Hey,
that was
man, we
before
ain't mad at
2023.
ya. I just was curious to know what the underlying reason was.
But he wouldn't let me when I started Zoloft because he did research on it. He knew that a lot of weed wouldn't be that bad, but that's when he also stopped buying me carts. Was when I started Zoloft. It was actually December he stopped buying me carts, and that's when my OCD started getting bad again. But I just let my anxiety depend on that too much, and that was hell. Everything was hell during this time, and I had to sleep with Sarah or my grandma, and Sarah got fed up with that because Travis moved in, and I got so pissed off about that.
God, dude, you're just beating me up.
Well, yeah, Travis could go on the couch because sometimes, I have.
But I didn't know. You didn't tell anybody what was going on.
You guys just thought I was weirdo.
No.
Anyways. From look at it's a tool. So, I hated being alone. I hated it, but I also hated being with people. So, what do you do?
I'm there.
Listen, you were preaching to the choir on that one. We all go through that.
But
We
this
all
was
go through
all
that.
the time. All the time. For 2 years.
Listen, let me just tell you a little story really quickly. Yesterday, I was so by myself and so depressed. I went to a restaurant all by myself, and I cried while I was at that restaurant all by myself because I had nobody to go with me.
What about your boyfriend?
He was at work. Husband. Whoa.
Oh, husband. Oh. You guys are both married friends.
He was out doing some work, a side job.
That's how my dad would get his money, by the way. Side job. Because he lost his job for like a year and a half total. And he was getting his back. And I feel bad because he was finally getting his company back up by the time I told. And I think he finally had a bucket truck and stuff too. Like to himself. And then he was planning on starting his own cable company. And I feel like I ruined all that because now he's going to be in jail forever. But
I have a question.
what?
It's not off topic, but it's somewhat off topic. What made you in your head finally open up?
I was just okay. I'll say this in a minute. Give me a minute. OCD was going off all the time, and I would try to sleep, and I'd take like 5 melatonins and ZQuil. I ended up going through a whole thing of ZQuil in like a week. And I didn't know that ZQuil and Zoloft would give you panic attacks from hell.
Oh yeah, that's a lot happening in your brain.
Yeah, so nothing would work, and I was getting tired of it because I would try to go to sleep at 1 o'clock. I would stay there hour after hour, my brain being awake, trying to sleep. Couldn't happen. It ends up being 9 o'clock in the morning. I would get like 5 hours of sleep a week, and it was hell. I talked to my school counselor about my dad, and I was saying that it was a boyfriend and that he was doing all these things, like he was verbally abusive most times, and he basically like threw me out for child porn, and he just started becoming very unloving towards me. But at first it was a very loving, very normal, happy relationship, and then it just kept getting worse year after year. And she said a lot of things that opened my mind up, and I was even said that my dad would have killed him if he found out about any of this and stuff. So I was like, please don't tell anybody. Little did they know it was my dad. And
Yeah, go ahead. Is it warm?
yeah. I talked to my other school counselor like the same week, and he asked like if there's anything in real life going on, and I said, well, I started talking about my dad, but I only was talking about the verbal stuff, and then I told him how my dad punched me one time because I was in his fridge looking for whiskey, and he punched me as hard as he could to the ground. He said, I'm gonna let this one time go, and his like legs started bouncing and everything. Like he was getting really mad about it. But if I hear anything else, I'm reporting it, because I was telling him how much I'm concerned about. Like he just has really bad anger issues, so he let that go one time. And then I meant to send an email about my dad, like everything's like the top 5 offenses, like the gun, like he pulled the gun up to his head, and I had to stop with all of my weight to carry it down because he felt like he loaded it and everything, like he was gonna shoot himself. And I was like, oh, it was horrible. That was the worst one of the most worst moments of my life. And all of our arguments was over my substance abuse. And he always called me an alcoholic. He said I was like my mom. He always said stuff about my mom to get to me. And that's what happened when he punched me, was I got up in his face, and I think I slapped him or something, so he just punched me because he said I'm going to be exactly like my mom. I'm going to be dead before the time she died. And she was like 34 or something. He said I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 30. And I accidentally said the stuff about my dad to a group chat of teachers, and it was meant to go to my group chat of counselors. In the group chat of teachers, I was talking about business ideas that I was going to start with Sarah, but before that, it wasn't about any of the stuff it is now. And then I accidentally sent this, and then my principal called for a welfare check, and then I told him about my him punching me and the verbal abuse, and my grandma said to him that I'm not going to be able to see him again in a text or something, like she's not going to let him see me. And then she called him like the same night, I think, I don't know, and he said she called him at one point, and he said if she's going to be lying like this, it's better that I'm not in his life. And I accidentally got mad. I got really mad at that, and I accidentally said it's because I'm too old or something, or like he doesn't want me anymore because he doesn't love me anymore because I'm too old and ugly or something like that. And that's when my grandma thought something was up, and she had me go down to the downstairs room. And I first said it was very minute sexual stuff, but it was just the tip of the iceberg. Then she had the cops come back, and then I told them what I told her. And when I told her this, she literally broke down to the floor, like she was on her knees crying, like, my baby, my baby. I was like,
How did it make you feel to let go of all that, though?
that's when everything was finally getting better, like calmer, like my OCD was going away, and I could finally sleep. And
Your brain shut off for a second.
yeah, it was like it all went away for a minute. But I felt really relieved the first few days. It wasn't, reality didn't set in yet. So I had to do a police report the day after, and my last conversation with him was like, you need to clean it all up. Like, and it was just talking about, I said that he needs to throw everything away and stuff, or I said I didn't think that he was going to get that much jail time for it. And I don't know. The last thing I said is you need to straighten out or something. And then that was, yeah. And then I made a police report in Rouge, and they thought I was out of it. They said that there was something dark holding me or something. Like this Catholic I'm so over everywhere in this. I'm sorry, but they had a conversation and they petitioned me to go to Havenwick, and I wouldn't have said half the things I said at the River Rouge police station if it weren't for my cousin Jackie, because she's been through the exact same thing when she was 11 and 12, and she had a conversation with me. She was the only one I was really comfortable talking to, and she got me to get everything out, and she was the one who told the officers everything that was the main initial report. And I wouldn't have said half of it, I don't think, if it was for her. And then I got sent to Havenwick, and it was hell because I finally was told me about going on. And I was the only one who wasn't there because for my own hand. Like, everybody was there because they wanted to kill themselves and stuff like that. Or, like, they had, like, really bad fights and stuff. There was hell there. I had to try to, I thought, because I'm, like, out to save the world. So I wanted to help all these people from wanting to end their lives, because that's, like, the biggest sin to me.
So that's something that you haven't, that's a thought process you haven't gone through yourself then, I assume. You've never been through that where you have those feelings of not wanting to be.
Oh no, I did. That's in December. That was a whole big argument between me and my dad, was because when my OCD was so bad, I said I would literally rather be dead than deal with this. And then I told him about one time I wanted to go into the garage and just hang myself on the high beams, because I didn't want to do anything too sloppy or cut my wrist or anything because I'm scared of blood. And I didn't want to go through a pill overdose because it would be too painful. So, like, the easiest way to would obviously be to hang yourself. And I told him about that, and I the only reason I wouldn't ever do it at this time was because I didn't want my grandma to go through that, because she had already lost her daughter, and I was like, I don't know if she has a soft spot for me because of that. Like, I'm the only girl for my mom, and I'm like a little mini my mom. Literally, I'm like an artist. I have like halfway the same personality and stuff. Like, I'm like a reincarnation of her, kind of. So basically, my grandmother's been spoiling me ever since. We're gonna talk about that another day. What was I saying? ADD things.
I agree with, because I just completely lost my train of thought too.
Oh yeah, I would never do that because I wouldn't want my grandma to go through that. And my dad lost 2 kids. One who was a little baby, who was like 2 months old, and my little brother, he was almost 6 years old, and they both had cognitive muscular dystrophy, hydrocephalus. It was in this it's all this thing that put together. It's called Walker-Warburg syndrome. But Ariana, she didn't have anything to help her live through that. She just died from being in pain. And Caleb, it was managed. But I think that did a lot to my dad's health, because he didn't want anything to do with Caleb. I found out, but he said that Janie wouldn't let him see him, which is not true.
So when you were in Havenwick, you talked to those?
I talked to those people, and then I would talk to the doctors, and I got more out at Havenwick. And little by little, I just got more and more information out. And every time I did that, it felt better. But the last 2 days of Havenwick, everything set in, and my OCD got bad again. But I've been managing it pretty well. And that's like, some days it's just like non-existent. Other days it's like, I have to fight it off for like an hour or like 10 minutes. Even 10 minutes is debilitating. I'm just glad it wasn't like from December to February, because I was all the time.
What happens when you say you're OCD? What do you mean?
I don't want to say it because I don't want people to think I'm weak and stupid, because it's just really stupid. We could look it up if you want. Sensory motor OCD, as well as other things like depression and anxiety, like about other things. It's just a mix of, it's a concoction from hell. It's like a Brompton cocktail. But when I told, I just felt a lot better. But I still have occasional OCD. But I could just listen to music, and I'm happy just listening to music now. I could watch TV, and I'll forget about stuff. It's just, like, I have those days where I remember, and I'm just thinking, like, what is my dad thinking in there? Like, I hope he doesn't spend the rest of his life in there. I hope he doesn't completely hate me. I hope he doesn't just blame me when he should be blaming himself. Because I believe that he genuinely had his weird, sick way of love with me. Like, I believe that he still loved me because he's that sick. And I'm just, I don't know, I still care about him, and I shouldn't. And that's just, that stuff comes to mind sometimes. But when my OCD happens, I literally don't feel like doing anything. I won't take a shower. I won't wash my hands. I don't even want to get up to use the bathroom. Go. Oh my god.
Was it mine? I'm sorry.
My grandma's?
Oopsies.
Get out!
Okay, go. We need to finish up.
We gotta finish this video. You're ruining it.
Yeah, I'm very mad.
She's a clean freak.
This is over. It's done. Cut that part out. Do you want to finish about how you're doing better now?
So I'm doing better now. I started tennis. I enjoy tennis. Whenever I get up, I play basketball because I love me some physical stuff. And yes, I'm just doing much better. Everything makes me happy. I can get crushes and I can get the butterflies. I missed having the butterflies. Oh, girl. This is one man I'm interested in. He does boxing, jiu-jitsu, other stuff. He wants to be a future MMA, UFC fighter. It's like, anyways, hot. I'm just doing happy. I'm not doing happy. I'm happy, and I'm substance free. And you just feel so better when you're not dependent on anything. So I'm not dependent on anything anymore. And the whole reason I quit was because Havenwick, I was not planning on quitting, but I got home. She threw away all my stash, my pen.
Thank God.
Yeah. I didn't have a vape at this time, though. I think I would steal, like, dead vapes from her freaking trash can. They were just really nasty. But, yeah. I'm good. I'm happy. We'll do a video later about my happiness because I talked way too much because I ramble on. And I need to stop rambling on. So,
And I have to go get my dog.
thank you for watching. I hope you watched this far because I am just, oh my gosh. I'm just everywhere.
Say bye, Jordan.
Bye, Felicia. Woo! Sprinkles.